Hello YouTubers and welcome to 2Spooky4Me readings. You know, that one series that gets updated only once a month. Anyways, we're back once again to tell the story of Dancing Kirby. It all began on what some people consider to be a perfect summer day. The sun was shining, not a cloud was in the sky, and a calming breeze was blowing. For most people my age, they would be hanging out with their friends or playing football or something. Me, well, I had other things to do instead of going outside. I was checking updates of E3 on YouTube. You may call that being lazy, but it was just how I was raised. Being a part of a family of gamers has an effect on you. But anyway, I was looking at Nintendo's new releases when a pop-up appeared stating that my local games specialty store, who calls it that, and was having a BOGO, also known as a buy one get one free sale, on used items. At first I wondered how my laptop knew where I was, but then remembered that with the age we're in, it was common for pop-up ads to track where you were and what you looked at the most. So after some quick thinking, I grabbed my wallet, turned off my laptop, and biked over to the store. After roughly 5 minutes, I finally got to the game specialty store, EB Games. This is where I spent most of my allowance, hence why the clerk noticed me as soon as I stepped into the store. She started to talk about the buy one get one free offer they set, and how the get one game was free, but I told her I already knew this already, and she nodded. I only had enough money to buy a copy of Kid Icarus Uprising near mint condition, so I took it up as part 1 of the BOGO. Now all that was left was to choose which game I would get for free. After looking through the whole store, one game caught my eye. Kirby Superstar Ultra. The last used copy there. I heard great things about this game, and being a person who loves nostalgia, even though I wouldn't have it because I never played the game, I found it to be a little of a treat. So I took it out, not having enough time to actually read the level and place it underneath. Uprising, then walked over to the clerk. She scanned Uprising and put it in bag for $30.95. The grand total cost for both of these games? She then took the other case and, as if struck by lightning, froze in that spot. This story is going exactly where I think it is. Looking at the cover for a few seconds before turning to me and saying, "Are you sure you want to get this copy? The original owner said it was corrupted and gave it back. We never threw it away, so who knows if it will still work or not." I nodded my head yes, and she looked at me a little longer, then scanned the game, all while muttering, "The customer is always right." Odd. She handed me my games and I headed out, and I could swear the clerk was doing a prayer. Spelled was a P, an R, an A, an I, and an Ah, when I walked out of the store, as if to ward off evil spirits. Once again, odd, and I never thought to question anything, because if I did, what happened to me later would totally not be my fault. Anyways, another 5 minutes later, I was back home and ready to play my games. Uprising sounded interesting, but after all that fuss that the clerk made about Superstar Ultra, it made me want to play the game more. I took the case out of the bag and realized that this was no ordinary copy. Plastered on his face was a sticker that said, "Updated version, new ability, Dancing Kirby, details inside." A new ability? Heck, I had never heard of this or its updated version before. I checked it off as a promo for that new Kirby game Nintendo announced and opened the case. Except the fact that Kirby Superstar Ultra is a DS game. In fact, I don't even think that's the version. Yeah, it is the version he's playing. And we can assume this is like recent E3, right? I actually don't know. Maybe this makes sense. I don't know. I turned it off as a promo for that new Kirby game Nintendo announced and opened the case. The sweet stench of new game smell entered my nostrils, and I took a long sigh of relief. The sticker wasn't lying about the details being inside. Much like the Pokemon Black and White Victini promo, a booklet lay where the manual was. It explained how to set up the ability to go into the game. First, I didn't put a set coordinate button pushes on the tile screen. Up, down, left, right, B, A, select start. The famous Konami code. Strange to see it in a Nintendo game, but it still sounded interesting, so I did it as it told me. After entering the code, I heard the Kirby 1-up sound effect, and the screens went back black. At first I thought the game froze, But after a while, white text appeared on the top and touchscreens. The top screen read Enter code, while the touchscreen showed a text bar with a QWERTY keyboard and everything. I looked at the booklet and it told me to then input the code listed below, and I would unlock the dancing ability. The code's not at all important, so I'll leave it out because I made it up, and if I told you what it was, it would have been obvious it was fake. Upon entering the code, the screens went white and resorted black to the title screen. I pressed start, went into the first save file, and started to play the first mini-game, if you will, of Superstar Ultra, Spring Breeze. At first it seemed like everything was normal. The game worked extremely well, and the graphics weren't just jumbled messes, and the controls felt like I thought they would. But one thing that seemed off was the enemies. They seemed paler than usual, and whenever Kirby hit one with a weapon, they would fall to the ground, and some white thing would float to the sky. Same thing with the bosses. They never attacked. They just looked at you, like they were waiting for something. And once again, after beating them, a white teardrop-shaped entity would float to the sky. Kirby, being the happy-go-lucky type of character as per usual, always danced at the end, which brought back to the mind of the dancing ability. I had never seen it in the courses at all, so why add the code? Eventually I made it DDD's castle. Usually there would be dialogue between DDD and Spearwaldy, but that wasn't present at all. In fact, besides the enemies, nothing was there. After roughly 3 minutes of going through the gauntlet of enemies, I finally made it to King Dedede. When I stepped in, he was just standing there, his back turned toward me. He chuckled and a dialogue box appeared. "Foolish puffball, you'd never learn, do you?" Dedede lifted one flipper and foot in there, leaving him to balance on one foot. Another dialogue box. "You've killed my minions, and for what? Just so you could end me too?" His sprite then flipped to look as though he swapped positions of his feet and flippers as if they were dancing. "Well, no more. Today is the day you feel our pain and suffering." The spot kept on flipping over and over until he turned around. He was a ghastly white. Large fangs stuck out of his beak. I could clearly see that something had happened to him. He started to inch towards me, still dancing like a psychopath. Then he stopped and snapped his flipper. Those white things came down, started floating in midair, and they instantly transformed into a ghost! Versions of the bosses I fought earlier. They too danced. Dee laughed heavily and said, "Welcome to the club, Kirby, where you can dance to your heart's content. That is, if you still have one when we're done with you." Ha ha ha. King Dedede pointed towards me, and the ghost bosses charged at me. As soon as they made contact with Kirby, the screen went black, and the test jingle played. One foul dialogue box appeared. "Enjoy your stay." Out popped the game over screen. Odd, I remember making a stockpile of lives for this level, and suddenly they don't work. But that didn't shock me as much as what the game over screen was showing. A black background was a spotlight pointed on a color-drained Kirby who was dancing the dance that the ghost bosses AD did. What had just happened? Has Kirby been cursed? Maybe this is what the original owner meant by the game being corrupted. Who in the right mind would add this to a Nintendo game? My head was spinning, so I decided to stop playing. I turned off the game and looked at my clock. Midnight. How long had I been playing this for? Who knows? Drowsiness was taking control, so I couldn't think properly. So I went to bed as if I'd never witnessed what had just happened. What happened to my copy of Superstar Ultra? Honestly, I don't know. I don't know either. I read the story, and most of it kind of just went pretty fast. All I know is that if it's collecting dust somewhere in my house, waiting to be played again. EB Games never allowed me to sell it there. They said it was bad for business. I called Nintendo customer service to ask them about it. They denied ever making a new update for the game. Also, I really doubt Nintendo customer service would know what Nintendo's doing. I mean, honestly, they usually don't. I know, get skeptical whenever there's a supposed update to a game, and I never will get why, no matter how hard I try. Whenever King Dedede plays anywhere, I get the sudden urge to dance. Don't we all? So, the beginning of CreepyPasta says, constructive criticism would be nice. So, how could we make this better? Maybe if what actually happened in the story didn't feel like a total balls and sucked. What I mean by that is nothing really happened in the story. I mean, you just bought a game, didn't work, the end. that was basically the story summed up. I mean, sure, there was something about dancing, but honestly, that's not what matters. I mean, nothing happened. Nothing spooky nothing scary even happened. I basically can't even call the story. I can't even consider it a too spooky for me video because nothing happened that was spooky. I mean, heck, even like stories like Mario or the other Mario or the other one, at least something happened. So this was too spooky for me readings. This is me, Robot, and I am going to just leave now.